Hello, I'm Jill Barth. I'm the HR Tech Editor for HR Executive, and we are here in Las Vegas at Mandalay Bay on the floor of the Expo Hall for HR Tech 2023. We're very lucky because we have a very important face here with us today, Josh Bersin, who is one of the keynote speakers and has a long history of inspiring HR leaders coming to this event. So thank you for being with us today.
You bet, Jill.
Why is this such an important event? Why do you keep coming back, and why do HR leaders keep coming back?
Well, I think it's important for two reasons. One is, for HR people, technology has become absolutely essential to running HR and optimizing HR, and the market is very dynamic, very fast changing, and very confusing. So you can come to one show and you can literally walk around in an afternoon and get a pretty good idea of what's going on, and then you can dive into one vendor and hear more. The second is for the vendors. This is a huge confab of technologists talking to each other, learning from each other, stealing ideas from each other, buying each other, doing deals with each other. That happens here too. So there's a sort of both sides are really, that's why this conference is so interesting.
And even this year we had the Innovation Summit for the first time, which is bringing outside investors, or always something changing, as you said, new things. And speaking of change, something brand new this year, HR Tech Europe, which will happen next year, 2024, in the spring, and you will be there.
I will be there, absolutely looking forward to it. I'd love to go to Amsterdam. And you know, the European market is different from here. The companies are a little bit different. The technology providers are different. So I think for any vendor that is looking at a global presence, it's pretty important to be there.
And do you think there will be a good opportunity for leaders that are U.S. based to learn from Europe? Should they consider attending even if they don't have a footprint there?
I do. I have gone to Europe many, many times as an analyst, and every time I go, I realize that the workplace issues, the culture issues, the legal issues, there's a little bit more of a legacy to European companies. They have a little more maturity sometimes than American companies. So I think if you're a global company or even partly global, I think it's worth going around the world and seeing what's going on in different places, absolutely.
And surely Europe has a lot of exciting tech, founders, vendors, so they will probably be their new faces to see what you could take advantage of. As the world becomes more globalized, Europe isn't so far away anymore.
Absolutely.
We've talked about Europe, but are there other exciting places in the world that are coming with great information for HR leaders or new tech ideas that you want to speak about?
Well, you guys have a conference in Asia, which I have gone to many times. I'm going to try to go this year. And, if you look at the growing economies in the world, most of the high growth economies are in Asia. That's really where many of the future businesses are moving their people, they're moving their manufacturing, they're moving their sales and marketing. So I think, and the culture of Asia is different, the environment is different, the level of inclusion and diversity is different, the work style is different. So I think for global HR leaders, they should try to hit your conference over there. It's actually a really big conference, and it's a very, very interesting place to go.
Yeah, it's really exciting. We have some of our team members here this week. We've been able to talk and chat about things that are going on. So it's just wonderful to get everyone in one place, which isn't easy. So it makes sense to go to a conference. Yeah, thank you. Have you noticed any certain themes or something that's different about this year? I have a sense of what you might say because we've all been talking about some of the same things.
AI, maybe?
Yeah.
Well, I would say there's two things. One is obviously AI, and you can read, you guys just wrote a great article about my speech and everything that's going on there. But there's also a little bit of fear. The vendors actually are a little nervous because they all sense there's a disruptive change happening and they don't want to be left behind. But it's not exactly clear what they should do. So there's a lot of experiments and prototypes and features and ideas. A year from now, next year, we're going to see products and much more integrated solutions. And then I think on the HR side, everybody wants to know, what are we going to do with AI? Where does it apply? Where can I use it? Where is it going to cause trouble? What is the impact on me as an HR professional? How does it change my HR department? So I think this is kind of an interesting year where we know there's this big, hairy thing about to happen, but we're not exactly sure all the implications yet.
And one of the things you said in your keynote is it needs to be easy to use for the end user, expecting how can we project ourselves and think of an employee experience on something that's still a little bit conceptual or still trying to roll out in the tech market?
Well, I think the best example of that is ChatGPT. I just read an article today that ChatGPT went from 0 to $1 billion of revenue in a year and a half, actually less than that, because it is so easy to use. So you think about all of these HR tools we've built with the portals and the buttons and the pages and the dashboards. Maybe I should just be able to talk to my HR system. Maybe I should just be able to chat with it. Listen, that's where this is going. And I think the vendors are scratching their heads thinking, yikes, what am I going to do to make that happen in my solution? So, I think the lesson we can learn about AI from the consumer side of AI is if we can make this stuff easy to use, the consumption's going to go crazy, and we're going to add huge amounts of value to our organizations.
Yeah, and I'm thinking it particularly in the implementation phase, where sometimes we're thinking it's going to take everyone a long time to learn how to use this, and you open up ChatGPT and you don't need instructions.
There's no training, there's no guidebook. If your system is not easy to use the first minute, you've got a problem as a vendor.
Yeah, I can understand that. People don't want to access something that they can't use right away.
Well, and one of the themes, of course, in HR is that everybody's overworked, everybody's overwhelmed, everybody's stressed out, everybody's working from home. I don't want one more tool that the HR department decided I need. I want something that makes my work easier and make my life better.
Yeah. Don't we all? One of the other things you mentioned was a change in employee listening, or just responding to what's happening with the workforce. Could you talk to readers a little bit about that and why that's important?
Sure. Well, at this point in time, employees are under about as much stress as I've seen in my career. The statistics are just really, astounding. We have labor unions, strikes, worries about pay and keeping up with inflation. People want a 4-day work week. There's experiments going on there. So there's a big stress element to what's going on in the workplace. And if you're a medium to large company and you don't know every employee, how do you know what the issues are? You have to listen to them, open up the aperture, because my experience and all the research we've done is that employees want their job and their company to be better, and they will tell you what is wrong, what is broken, why customers are leaving, but you have to ask them. You have to listen to them. You can't do a once-a-year survey or give them a bunch of canned questions and assume they're going to tell you what you need to know. You need to find a new way to do that. And so natural language processing, tools to capture video and audio feedback, using AI to curate a lot of information from a lot of employees are huge tools for business improvement, not just HR improvement. So employee listening's changed a lot, and it's become a very, very sort of central part of HR.
And it sounds like what you've said through your keynote and what we're talking about here, that business leaders are understanding that the people that are being led by the HR departments really are important in new ways, I think, that they maybe hadn't always realized throughout the course of the workplace.
We're releasing a bunch of research today on what we call the post-industrial economy. And what it's really about is, for the last 150 years, there's been this steady move towards more automation, more robotics and manufacturing and distribution and sales and marketing, all of that. And what we're left with is a company where the employees are adding massive amounts of value. We don't have employees as reusable parts in the old labor market sort of economy. And that means that every employee's skills, capabilities, motivation, alignment, sense of belonging is a defining factor in your company's growth. You can't swap them in and out like they're replaceable parts anymore. So HR is playing a bigger and bigger and bigger role in companies because CEOs are worried about people, they're worried about change, and if they want to transform the company, it starts with the people. It always starts with the people. So, I've seen over the 20 or so years that I've been an analyst, from people worrying about HR is going to have a seat at the table to now HR being asked to be very strategic business consultants. And of course the technology is instrumental in doing that. So yes, every company is in the people business.
Great, great. That's fascinating, and you said you've got some research coming out now. Could you maybe tell us just a bit more what's on the horizon for your customers and readers that want to know more?
There's 3 big studies coming out you're going to read about. One is the big research we've been doing for 2 years on what we call systemic HR, the new operating model of HR, how to develop better skills in HR and how to really run HR in a modern way, and that's going to be huge. The second is a piece of research we're launching next week called the dynamic organization. All this work on internal mobility and skills and career pathways and talent marketplaces, that's actually not HR stuff. That is business stuff. Those are practices that drive business performance improvement and innovation. So we're doing a big study on that that's coming out next week. And then we're just finishing a massive study of leadership. You know, leadership is there must be 10,000 books on leadership, and do you like Elon Musk? Do you like Satya Nadella? Who's your favorite leader? We really studied this one to death, and I think we're going to give people a real guiding light on what leadership looks like in the future. So we're pretty excited about this. This is a lot of research for us to launch in really 1 quarter.
It really sounds like a lot of power. How can people access that if they want to have?
There's 2 ways you can get it. You can join our academy as an individual, and some of the research comes in there. And then for businesses, we have a corporate membership, and they get access to all the research and all the tools and all the data behind it.
So thank you for listening in. We'll be covering all of the exciting data and research coming out of Josh's team as much as we can. We're really thrilled that he was here with us today. And if you want a chance to see him speak again, sign up for Europe and meet us in Amsterdam. Thanks.